So, ladies and gentlemen, let's get to Israel and Iran. A lot of people are excited at the clash between the Spurs and the Knicks, but here's another clash taking place in the Middle East. As you guys know, yesterday, after Israel struck Beirut, in spite of Iran's warnings not to do so, Iran decided to take matters into its own hands and escalate and strike Israel proper, which they did. I covered it in real time. By the time I had ended the broadcast, Donald Trump was basically giving every Western and even some Israeli newspapers choice quotes about how he was the boss. He was boss baby, and that Israel had to abide by his commands. It turns out Israel did not play that game, however, and by the time I had ended the broadcast and was making my way to Los Angeles airport, Israel had already struck Iran. Israel then continued to strike Iran in spite of Donald Trump saying, no more striking, it's done. Striker, no striking.
Over the weekend, the president warning Israel not to retaliate against Iran. The president...
Yeah, and his warnings, lo and behold, were not listened to. If you recall yesterday, I said, I'll believe it when I see it. I was a little bit more restrained, although somewhat hopeful that Donald Trump seemingly was taking a stronger stance. But of course, as it turns out, that strong stance amounted to absolutely nothing. If you recall, I said, and tweeted out, if this isn't theater, I said, if this is real and not theater, it's a huge step in the right direction where Iran has dealt such significant damage that Trump is willing to let Israel receive penalties from it for actively violating a potential ceasefire. Going forward, Israel's calculation as a spoiler changes. Well, it turns out it was actually not real, and it was actually theater. Because Benjamin Netanyahu does what Benjamin Netanyahu wants. All of the begging, Bibi, stop, Khalil, no. It amounted to nothing. We know who the shot caller is. Yep. Trump tells the Financial Times that Israel would have no choice but to accept whatever deal the U.S. negotiates with Iran. He won't have any choice. I call the shots. I call all the shots. Netanyahu doesn't call the shots. Yep. Turns out, buddy. Oh, buddy. Now, of course, to add insult to injury, a lot in American news media will not reference this, but Israel does not have the operational capacity to actually strike Tehran without American involvement. So even if America turns around and says, oh, we didn't have anything to do with this, I need you to understand that it's a lie. Without Stratotanker support from the United States of America, without American Stratotankers flying in coordination with the Israeli Air Force, the Israeli pilots are not capable of making that flight and striking Tehran or striking any place on Iranian soil. Israel does not have any Stratotanker refuelers. In order to make that trip, the American Air Force aided and abetted Israel in striking Iran. So not only did Donald Trump do this kind of song and dance where he claimed last night that he holds all the cards and he controls the shots, he's the real shot caller, Israel was able to do its bidding against Donald Trump's wishes, against Donald Trump's, public posture, and Israel was able to do this with American support.
Reportedly telling Axios, quote, I'm calling Netanyahu right now and telling him not to attack Iran in response, adding, each of them had their fun. Israel had its strike and Iran had its strike. We don't need another one. But Israel did retaliate. This morning, the IDF saying it conducted a wave of strikes on western and central Iran, including a petrochemical plant.
The pattern of these strikes are also interesting from the Israeli side. The fact that they're hitting civilian infrastructure instead of trying to deteriorate the Iranian military capacity could mean one of two things. Either it means that Israel has completely given up on trying to deteriorate Iranian strike capabilities because they recognize now that it's virtually impossible. It's a wash. It's not going to happen, as evidenced by the last 101 days of Operation Epic Fury. Or they're doing this, they're hitting oil infrastructure rather than hitting their military capabilities because, once again, they just have given up on a long extended conflict or even stopping Iran from striking Israel in any meaningful capacity. It doesn't matter what the calculation on the Israeli side is, however, it's still obviously terrorism and they're engaging in it. And Iran has seemingly backed away for the time being, unless Israel hits Beirut again. I suspect if Israel hits Beirut again, Iran will probably strike back at Israel proper once again. After the tit for tat, by the way, Iran did say that the latest attacks would be the last ones. But they also are implying once again that if Israel escalates on Beirut, right, they'll probably strike back. They have to in order to maintain military deterrence.
Over the weekend, Trump falsely claiming he never promised the American people no new wars.
First of all, I didn't guarantee no war. Why would I have built the strongest military in the world?
But on the campaign trail,
I'm not going to start a war. I'm going to stop wars.
No more wars, no more disruptions. We will have prosperity and we will have peace.
and guys, this is a major test of President Trump's ability to de-escalate the situation. No one has been killed or injured here in Israel in those missile strikes.
Yeah, dog, he doesn't have any ability to de-escalate any situation. Let's be real. He can't de-escalate his way out of a paper bag. What is the test? This is the same Brandonization that we saw, man. They're dog walking the American administration once again. It's so stupid. I'm sick and tired of this bullshit. Like, oh yeah, there's no measures that you could deploy. Yeah, there are, okay? Israel knows that there are plenty of measures that they could deploy. That's why they spend a good deal of time, effort, and money to ensure that no one who actually would ever dare to deploy any of those measures is anywhere near proximity to power. That's why they spend so much money on AIPAC and all these other shell corporations and
You saw Tom reference that interview with Axios. The words were quite stark. He said that he was calling Netanyahu right now and telling him not to attack Iran. Each of them had their fun, and Iran had its strike. We don't need another one. And George, at about the same time, the president did an interview.
It's embarrassing. It's totally ridiculous. They had their fun is such a funny thing to say. Yeah, meanwhile, the commander of Iran's Revolutionary Guard Quds Force, Ismail Qaani, said a new security belt of resistance will be established at the Strait of Hormuz to the Bab el-Mandeb Strait off Yemen and from the Gulf to the Red Sea, according to comments carried by state media. So the Ansar Allah is now involved. The Ansar Allah have said they are going to start stopping ships that are transiting through the Red Sea into Israel. So they've reestablished their blockade. They're going to engage ships militarily. Iranian officials use the term resistance or acts of resistance to refer to Iranian allies in the region, including Yemen's Houthis. Yemen's Houthis have also opened fire on Israel as well. The more this Bidenist idea of a ceasefire, the invention of the post-October 7th world, where a ceasefire means Israel can still do whatever it wants forever, but no one can respond to it, is picked apart bit by bit, the more the world can potentially return to some semblance of sanity. Yeah, sometimes you got to break things to rebuild it, I guess.
With the Financial Times, and he said that Benjamin Netanyahu would have to go along with whatever peace deal he gets with Iran. He won't have any choice. I call the shots. I call all the shots. He doesn't call the shots. But George, despite all of that, and despite the phone call that he had with Prime Minister Netanyahu, Israel obviously went on and attacked Iran. Now the president is saying that his peace deal is still on the verge. He's been saying that for now months, saying only subject to ignorance or stupidity getting in the way.
And this is hitting home again. Oil prices spiking overnight.
Yeah, oil prices are up, which means gas prices will be up more. The toll of the economy, hitting voters here as Republicans fear for a very difficult midterm elections.
John Carl, thanks.
A wave of...
Are we going to get Epstein drops this week? I don't know, because, Benjamin Netanyahu showed the world that he's the real boss and making the real boss calls anyway. So maybe there's no need for Epstein drops, some strategically placed Epstein drops, after all, considering that the Trump restraint was nothing. I-24, Israel fears that Trump will restrict freedom of action in Lebanon and seek to reduce the intensity of the fighting, not only in the Dahia district in Beirut, but generally throughout the country. Israeli officials are working around the clock to prevent such a move. See? Yeah. America has complete power over Israel. America could still, at any step it wanted to, make one pivotal phone call and change the dynamic of this conflict. It's still the case. It was always the case, and it will still continue to be the case. Do with that information what you will. It's just the truth. The idea that this is, that Israel is a sovereign nation state that gets to do whatever it wants, and bully the American leadership is silly. they are bullying the American leadership regardless, and it's utterly humiliating. Having said that, however, America still holds all the cards. They're just choosing not to enforce it. I don't know why they're not choosing to enforce those cards. Hello, my mother. Hello to my mother's favorite. What up, NMP Law? What does your mom think about me wearing suits recently? I feel like your mom would love that.
First of all, I think it's important to remember how this started. This started with a negotiated ceasefire under Trump administration auspices last week between Lebanon and Israel, and it's Hezbollah in Lebanon that violated that ceasefire.
Oh.
And now it's the Iranian regime in Tehran that's trying to challenge it by sending missiles at Israel for what it accuses Israel of doing, violating a ceasefire. So really, this is about Iran trying to flex its muscle.
Shit, my mistake. I forgot. Israel is obviously allowed to invade Lebanon and continue invading Lebanon and secure additional territory inside of Lebanon. I mean, what the is this analysis, man? Jesus Christ, dude. Yeah, they get to do it. It's for emotional support. They have to do it. ZNN, dude. How will this be more pro-Israel after the Ellison purchase? I don't even know. I genuinely, physically don't. I don't know how they can literally be more pro-Israel.
Then this morning, Iran-backed Houthis in Yemen came out of the ceasefire woodwork, fired 2 ballistic missiles at Israel. Neither reached their targets. Then, with echoes of their previous attacks on the Red Sea, declared a blockade on Israeli ships there, although most shipping traffic already avoids this area. All of this retaliation for Israeli strikes on Hezbollah-linked targets in Beirut over the weekend. Trump reportedly told Netanyahu not to do it. He did, although unlikely to have happened without U.S. knowledge.
Yep. Yeah, it's cool, man. American orders are not even suggestions at this point. It's just background noise. America will be like, please don't do it. Please don't do it. I beg of you. And then he'll just do it anyway. It's great. It's fantastic. Once again, I asked the question that Bill Clinton asked to Benjamin Netanyahu back in the 90s. Who's the superpower here?
The Iranians were at pains to point out today.
America has direct responsibility in any action that the Zionist regime carries out in relation to the violation of regional peace and security against Iran.
Donald Trump took to social media at just after 5:30 in the morning US. Israel and Iran must immediately stop shooting, he wrote. Then about an hour later posted, both sides are looking to do an immediate ceasefire. Final negotiations on peace are proceeding subject to ignorance or stupidity getting in its way. He went on to state for the umpteenth time that peace was almost upon us and that, quote, things should move quickly. This afternoon, the Iranians announced the end of the tit-for-tat for now, but warned of more to come if the Israelis hit Lebanon again. Missiles deliver messages as well as payloads. So what does the last 48 hours tell us about this shaky ceasefire? Iran wants the US and Israel to know that for them an attack on Beirut is tantamount to an attack on Tehran, and that any durable ceasefire must include Lebanon as well.
For years, Hezbollah was the proxy of Iran. It was built
Hezbollah
in order to protect Tehran from Israel. Now Iran protects Hezbollah from Israel's grip. If they do not protect Hezbollah, they are isolated, they are alone, and they are doomed to fail.
The last 24 hours was also about Iran showing willing to escalate quickly if there's no movement on the things that are important to them in ceasefire.
One of the funniest things that have taken place since the invention of AI, generative AI, is that Iran can make these massive placards now in no time. It's so funny that they just like pump out this AI slop and make these banners in only a few moments. No need to hire anyone. What do you think the Ayatollah is doing? Yeah, sitting around in a bunker making AI art, generative AI art.
Negotiations, like the unfreezing of Iranian assets, for example. At the weekend, Trump was asked about this.
Would you unfreeze any Iranian assets or lift any sanctions up front as a part of any deal? So that would come after.
Comes after, yeah. If
they turned over their nuclear enrichment.
As the interview went on, things started to deteriorate. The president eventually stormed out.
You ought to straighten out your press.
Tehran negotiators will look at episodes like this
Traveled all the way to
and interpret them as signs of weakness and petulance.
Now, while Israel says it's stopping attacks here in Iran, it will continue to fight in southern Lebanon if it is attacked by Hezbollah, and the IDF has confirmed that that will continue. Now, that is something Iran considers a breach of the ceasefire. So what precisely will happen in that event is still uncertain. 12 people were killed in Israeli strikes in Lebanon today, and since March, since the beginning of this conflict, around 3,500 people have lost their lives in Lebanon alone. Our international editor, Lindsay Hilson, reports from...
Quiet green light. As the dust has settled, it seems Trump soft greenlit the Israeli attack on Iran and then further depleted U.S. military interceptors to defend attacks on Israel. Yup. Zachary Cohen, senior national security reporter covering the Pentagon for CNN, says, update, U.S. forces did fire interceptors in response to recent Iranian missile attacks targeting Israel, per a U.S. official, though it was not immediately clear if the attempted interceptors were successful. U.S. officials are still working to assess who hit what in the aftermath, the official said. This comes a couple hours after a U.S. official denied Israel's claim that the U.S. intercepted Iranian ballistic missiles that were fired at Israel. Of course they did. Israel is the most precious country on the planet. It has to be defended, no matter what. It has to be defended when it goes around and behaves in a belligerent manner. That's just how it goes. That's it. Israel gets to do whatever the fuck it wants, and we'll foot the bill.
Beirut.
Clearing up after yesterday's strikes on Beirut.
Can't wait for that military combo-wombo situation. So, Americans are drafted by force at gunpoint to go wage Israel's wars at the behest of Israel so they can take over Cairo and take over Istanbul and wherever the they seek further expansion in.
The Shia village of Debin has been utterly destroyed by Israeli bombs. The occupying Israeli soldiers withdrew just a few days ago. A UN bulldozer has started to clear the rubble, and the Lebanese armed forces have moved in. The cross on the horizon rises from the Christian village of Marjayoun, less than 2 kilometers away. But we weren't allowed to film much in Marjayoun for fear of bringing the wrath of Israel onto the heads of the population. Now that the Lebanese army has moved back into the villages around here, people should be feeling more secure. But everyone I've been speaking to is nervous. They don't know what the Israeli soldiers are going to do next. And even though Marjayoun here might be an enclave of peace, the Israelis are still occupying the area all around and not showing any signs of leaving. Debris from the Israeli anti-aircraft system Iron Dome has damaged the tower of St. George's Church. The priest has grown used to the sound of his...
Reminder, Hezbollah are still Lebanese people. They have a right to defend against Israel. Oh, 100%.
Hezbollah rockets being intercepted as they fly overhead. Now, both Hezbollah and Iran are firing into Israel.
Our message in our church, the peace.
But we're hearing the sound of war all around us.
Of course, this is nothing. Last night, all the night, you will hear. This is the music.
Israeli soldiers ordered the Christians of Marjayoun to expel the displaced Shias they were sheltering in case they were harboring Hezbollah, driving a wedge between the communities.
They are from our society, but there is no reason to say to my brother, go from my way, go from my town, don't be here. We have a big problem now, okay, between us.
Nabatea, just to the west of Marjayoun, attacked by Israel every day. While the world prays that the war between the US and Iran will not start up again, here they just pray to be left alone, to live together again, just to live.
So you can see that Israel has no let up in attacking the south of Lebanon today, and it has no intention of doing so. But I wonder if Prime Minister Netanyahu is feeling a little concerned today, because President Trump has positioned himself almost like a mediator between Iran and Israel rather than Israel's partner. It's clear he doesn't want to go back to war. It's clear he wants a deal. And Iran may try to insist that Israel stop attacking the south of Lebanon as well as Beirut and possibly withdraw from its occupation. Lebanon, of course, feels rather powerless in amongst all this. Earlier today, I sat down with the Lebanese Justice Minister, Adel Nasser, and I asked him how the events of the last 36 hours, where they have left Lebanon.
Today we are paying the price of the disproportionate reaction of Israel and the interference of Iran and the use by Iran of Lebanon as a military base for itself. We are facing all of them. We are a small country and we are facing major powers because both of them have military means that Lebanon doesn't have.
What do you want the Americans to do?
The Americans today are helping or supporting the negotiations of Washington, that the direct negotiations that are being conducted. And we expect, that the issue of Lebanon remains completely independent from the negotiations that are being conducted between the United States and Iran, because we consider that we shouldn't be a card between the hands of Iran. This is on one hand. On the other hand, to support Lebanon, to bring Israel to another attitude regarding the situation in Lebanon.
But it seems that the government, your government, has no power, no influence.
I mean, cooked, but also true. It's flagrant how powerless the Lebanese government is, how cucked the Lebanese government is. It's basically a puppet state. And it's been that for a minute, but look, a lot of people are like, oh, what is the Lebanese government's attitude on this? Where's the Lebanese military? Let me tell you, the Lebanese government would literally give up every Shia territory in southern Lebanon to Israel so it can turn southern Lebanon, violate its sovereignty, and turn southern Lebanon into another West Bank-style occupation, as long as they also, in the process, destroyed Hezbollah militarily. The Lebanese government is lost. It's not a real government at all. How can you be a real government if you collaborate with a foreign invading military and actively try to collaborate with a foreign invading military against your standing militia within Hezbollah? If you recall, in the early days of Operation Epic Fury, when Israel started invading southern Lebanon militarily, the Lebanese government tried to get the Lebanese forces to not attack Israel, but to attack Hezbollah. And of course, the Lebanese military was like, no, what are you saying? We're not going to aid and abet a foreign invading force against our own brothers. They still tried it, though. They still tried it. There's varying degrees of dignity and face saving here, but the Lebanese government has none of that.
Even in your own country?
No, Lebanon is committed, and the government is committed to obtain or to secure the monopoly of force. It is very important to continue the process of dismantling Hezbollah's military infrastructure, but not to make a confusion with the Shia.
Like, do you see this? Do you see this? Like, he's literally talking about dismantling the Hezbollah military infrastructure. Buddy, your country is currently being invaded. Hezbollah are Lebanese. They are Lebanese people. Your country is being invaded by a foreign occupying power. The f*** do you mean? Oh, we're working tirelessly to dismantle the only resistance force that's currently keeping the foreign invading force at bay. Yes, Hezbollah are the only ones seemingly interested in defending the sovereignty of Lebanon. It's true. What is this? This is a great analysis on who this government is beholden to. Disgraceful and embarrassing, says Laura Bitar. It is Iran and Iran alone that stopped the attacks on Dahia and Beirut and is insisting on incorporating Lebanon into his negotiations with the U.S. But this stooge is ordered to view Iran as the enemy rather than the settler colony erasing dozens of southern villages from existence and slaughtering entire families together. Yeah, here is the Lebanese president, Joseph Aoun, telling CNN's Christian Amanpour his message to the IRGC and Iran.
It's not your country, it's our country. It's our obligation. It's not your job to interfere into our country.
Like, the Lebanese president is literally going on American TV after conducting a negotiation, a fake negotiation with the United States of America and Israel, the invading military force, where they have openly admitted to wanting to stand down. And when asked, he says his main opposition is Hezbollah and the IRGC and Iran, not the country that's invading and violating his borders, violating his sovereignty, killing his countrymen. 4,000 Lebanese people have been slaughtered by Israel at this point. Hundreds of buildings have been destroyed. Hundreds of villages have been erased off the map. And this dipshit is like, oh, dude, that's one thing. But you know what the real problem is? The fact that Hezbollah exists within our borders. That's why I said, like yesterday, I said Iran, due to the deterrence factor of Hezbollah against Israel, given Hezbollah's proximity to Israel, Iran has more investment in maintaining Lebanese sovereignty than the Lebanese government itself.
Reject the statement totally, because our people being killed, our houses being destroyed. They are using Lebanon as a bargaining chip in their negotiation with the United States. It's unacceptable.
Yeah. They're using Lebanon as a bargaining chip. Yeah, that is crazy. What is the bargain for Iran here? The bargaining chip for Iran is Lebanese sovereignty, is forcing Israel to retreat from not Syria, not from Egypt, from Lebanon. Iran isn't saying like, oh, you have to retreat your forces from Jordan. Iran is saying you have to retreat from Lebanon, your country.
And here also, Hezbollah must understand that. Hezbollah must understand that no other way but to sit and talk. No other way to solve this problem and to save what's left except through negotiation and diplomacy. It's not your country, it's our country. It's our obligation. It's not your job to interfere into.
I mean, this is literally Vichy France, by the way. This is straight up Vichy France. Based on Mr. Owen's comments, one would think that Iran has occupied 1/5 of Lebanon, displaced 1/4 of Lebanese, and bombing his country on a daily basis. Had Lebanon been the bargaining chip for Iran, we'd have a deal long ago. Save Lebanon from your real foe, Mr. President. He's right. Sayed Abbas Araghchi, the Iranian foreign minister, is right. What's crazy is like these guys don't even feel shame in their hearts to say such things.
Community.
So what do you say to the villagers in the south who say Hezbollah is the resistance, Hezbollah at least is fighting Israel, and the National Army is doing nothing?
It is clear that Hezbollah is not in a position to defend the south. So talking about defending the south through Hezbollah is a myth. It is not true. And it proved that it is not true through over this long period of time.